Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a tier list of my favorite Nintendo consoles of all time. So roll that intro. A tier maker list and rank all the Nintendo consoles from best to worst, in my opinion. This list isn't definitive. This is just my opinion, but I see a lot of other people doing this on their channels, and I just thought it would be a cool idea because a lot of people watch my channel and they notice my NES collection, but I'm a huge Nintendo fan, so I play a lot of other things rather than just the Nintendo. So I think you guys might get a kick out of seeing my choices, and you might be surprised at what I put in the S tier. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start off with the Virtual Boy. Now, the Virtual Boy is very polarizing. It came out at a time where that was supposed to be the future of gaming, pretty much, I felt like. And I played it. I never owned one, but I did have a neighbor that owned one. And just like all the stories have said, I used to go to his house and play it. And you couldn't play it too long. 30 minutes and your eyes would be hurting and you'd actually get a headache. I don't know what they were thinking with making everything infrared, basically this red ridiculous looking color, but the concept was very unique, and I understood where they were coming from, but it just didn't work. We just weren't there yet, and I still don't think we're there. Like VR and stuff is great, but it's not there yet. I don't see everybody just sitting down putting on a headset and playing in VR. I see people just sitting down playing with a controller. So it did have some decent games, Teleboxer and Wario Land. Those were some pretty cool games, but I'm gonna have to put in E. It's just not the greatest. The next one we're gonna talk about is the Nintendo DS. Now, I was hype on the Nintendo DS. I love the concept. I love the dual screens. Yeah, it was a great system, and I remember playing Resident Evil for it. They actually made Resident Evil for it, and they brought it out, and you could see like your inventory and your health on one of the screens, which was fantastic because the PlayStation version of Resident Evil, you had to hit the button and go into your menu just to see your health. So it was kind of cool to be able to see your status all the time on there. I didn't play a ton of games for it, and I just feel there's better handhelds than this, so I'm going to put this at D. Alright, let's move on to the Game Boy. And I remember my brother getting a Game Boy for Christmas. I want to say it was 1990. It was very, very early on when it came out. A great system. The ability to play, Nintendo games on the go, this was just incredible with just that concept only. The screen wasn't the greatest. You had to have a light with the added on peripheral to really play in the dark. No color, but there were some fantastic games for this system. And one of my favorite games is Tetris, and it was a pack-in, and it was just so addicting. Just top notch, man. The Game Boy really killed it. There were some spectacular games for it. I loved all the Super Mario Lands. Just a fantastic handheld. Basically, you're just holding an NES controller and they just put a screen on it. So I'm gonna put this at C. Next is the Nintendo GameCube. Oh man, I remember buying this right when it came out. This is one of the systems that I actually bought with my own money, and I bought it for Mario Sunshine. But the main reason I bought it is because it actually had the Resident Evil remake on it, which was the remake of the original Resident Evil game, but it was pretty much like a reboot. Well, not a reboot, but a reimagining of the original Resident Evil for PlayStation. Man, I was so hyped on this console. It had a fantastic ability to play 4 players, and I'm glad that they never went away from that. Nintendo has always been about couch co-op and getting people together, so having a system like this, and you can play such cool games, man. Smash, and just there's so many awesome co-op games for this system. All the Mario parties, but yeah, and nowadays it's extremely extremely expensive if you collect for the Nintendo GameCube. So I'm so happy that I started collecting for this console when the games were very cheap, because now it's just, they're astronomical. But definitely one of my favorite Nintendo consoles. I'm gonna put it at B. This system was fantastic. Let's move on to the Nintendo 64. Oh man, what do I say? I never owned this console, but my cousins Casey and Travis had one. I just remember them bringing it over every single time they spent the night, or we spent the night at their house. It was such a great console. I'll never forget the amazing wrestling games for this, and the top-notch GoldenEye. Just so fun. It's just so fun back then, and now it's primitive looking when you go back and you grab the controller, and you can't imagine just playing a shooter with one stick, but you did, man, and it was fantastic. I'll never forget playing all the awesome games that we played on this. You know, GoldenEye was so awesome. My cousin Casey, he used to pick Boris, and he was like an actual cheating character, kind of like Odd Job. Like, people would always ban Odd Job in multiplayer, but we was always trying to ban Boris. He was a little bit faster than every character. So I just remember him like having the timing down perfect to where you went to the character selection screen and he knew how many ticks over to the right Boris was, and you could not pick him faster than he could. It was just incredible. One of my favorites, man. I'm going to put it up here at B. The multiplayer capabilities of the system, just fantastic. Now I'm going to move on to the NES. And what do you say about the NES? It's just one of those systems that it just gets better with age. I collect for it. I have so many memories of, you know, playing this console. Everybody had one. It's the only console on this list that I can literally remember adults having. Like, they actually bought one for themselves. I remember going to a bunch of my dad's friends' house and they had one. And, you know, some of them had kids and some of them didn't. Like, they played Nintendo. So, incredible games for it. You know, some of the best franchises ever were started on this. So, I'm definitely going to put this at the A. And I know you guys are surprised that I didn't put it S, but there's a couple things that it didn't do well. The library of games, there's a ton of them, but there's a lot of bad games for it. So I'm going to keep it at A. I think A is no slouch. It's fantastic. I do not think it's S tier, but I do love it. Now let's go with the Game Boy Color. What do I say about this? I mean, it's basically a Game Boy with color, and that alone makes it in a higher tier than the Game Boy. Plus all the fantastic games. You know, Link's Awakening, just the Metroid, and all these games that you could play in color. So they would re-release these, you know, Game Boy games, but now in color. And it was just night and day difference. It was fantastic. So I'm going to definitely put the Game Boy Color in the B category. Next, I'll talk about the GBA. Now, the GBA was pretty unique. I actually like the SP, and the SP isn't on this list, but I'm just going to act like this is the SP because it's pretty much the same deal with a different screen and clamshell. But the link cable for this, I remember playing this at work. I would always play handhelds at work on my breaks and stuff. And I remember playing, you know, so many cool games on this. Minish Cap. I mean, just top-notch games. But two of my favorite games are definitely Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission. Both of these, fantastic. One of my favorite handhelds is the Game Boy Advance. So if I had to put it anywhere, I'm gonna put it in A. And the games hold up, man. They're great. Next console I'm going to talk about is the Nintendo Wii. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a huge Wii fan. I didn't like the motion controls. I did like the ability to turn it sideways and play it and hold it like an NES controller and play it. It's definitely not a trash console. There's a lot of shovelware for it, but there's a lot of fantastic games also. And this is a multiplayer console too. So I remember like hooking GameCube controllers up to this, which was super cool. There's so many games for this system that are, you know, considered crap, but I like them. I like the Mario parties, and you know, like I said, Nintendo's always been about couch co-op. Some really cool WiiWare titles that you could only get if you had a Nintendo Wii, and they've never been released physically. So, you know, having a Wii just for that back then and being able to download those, I wish there was other ways to get those games, but there's a couple of them like the Castlevania that were just WiiWare titles. And, you know, not to mention the Punch-Out Wii game is just incredible. I know it kind of got overlooked, but man, that game is just fantastic. So I'll definitely put it up here in the C category. Next, we'll talk about the Wii U. Now, I was an early adopter of the Wii U. I love the console. It just came out at a bad time, I think, and they didn't market it well at all. But some of the games for it, fantastic. Some of the best platformers I've ever played were on the Wii U. I mean, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Dude, that game alone will just make you pull your hair out because it's has to be pinpoint accurate platforming. So many great games, so many great party games, and one of the best remakes I had ever played, which was the HD version remake of Wind Waker. Such a fantastic looking game. I definitely like this. I know it didn't last very long, but I do love the Wii U, and I loved the Mario Kart game for it. So many memories of playing this with my son, so I'm going to put this at A. I really love the Wii U. Next, we're going to talk about the Nintendo 3DS. Another console that I think they just did better as time went on, so it's definitely going to be better than the DS. The 3DS was fantastic. I remember playing Ocarina of Time remake for it. I loved Ocarina of Time back on the N64, but I'm not going to lie. It's one of those games that I can't play now because of the visuals. It's so grainy looking. It's just not for me, but I played the remake on the 3DS, and it's fantastic. It's polished up. It's just an amazing console. A lot of great titles for it. They really hit it out of the park, man. A lot of 3DSs were sold, and you know, they sold it for quite a while too. So I'm going to put it up here in the B category. Now I think this is the Nintendo Game & Watch. I don't know if this is the new one or it's like the originals from back in the day. If it's the originals from back in the day, I don't want to put it in the E category because I've never really played them that much. But if it's based off of what this picture looks like, which is the one that just came out that's like $49.99, there's only a couple games on it, and it's more of a collector piece now. I see a lot of people that buy them and they don't even open them. So I'll just put that at D. I think for what it is, it's okay, but I put it at D. Now, 2 consoles left, and none are in the S tier. I guess I'll start with the Nintendo Switch. Man, Nintendo hit it out of the park with this. I'm not gonna BS. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. One of the best consoles that they had ever released. So much support. It's selling incredibly well. It's probably going to be around the PlayStation 2 sales marks of all time after it's all said and done. So obviously, it's going into the S tier. So many amazing platformers, so many great indie games. There's just so many games that this thing can play. It's just fantastic. I love the ability to play it on a big screen or just take it up and play it in handheld mode while I'm laying in bed. There's just so many great games. It's such a great system, and it's so accessible to everybody. I know people who never bought a video game system and they bought a Switch. So some fantastic third-party support, indie support. Some of the best games are on the Switch. So it's definitely an S tier, no doubt about it. One of my favorite Nintendo consoles. Now we got the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And where do I start? Well, let me start with the obvious. The best packing game ever, Super Mario World. This game defined this console. It's by far the best packing title ever. It's such an incredible system. The memories I have with this, I'll never forget them. me and my uncle played this system non-stop. Everything about this system I love. Perfect controller, superb games, unbelievable. The color palettes that this thing could put out, just everything was so good about this console. It came out at the perfect time, and it was the perfect, predecessor to the NES. I mean, it's just, you didn't think it could get better after the NES, and this thing came out and just blew us away. I can't even get into the list of games because there's just too many. So definitely Super Mario World, Super Metroid. I mean, just so many titles, so many great games on this system. I don't know what else to say. Obviously, it's going to the S tier. And that's my list. I want to talk about the Super Nintendo more, but I'm going to make a whole video on it. Nintendo, man, you guys are just killing it. So that's my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this is kind of a different type of video, but I kind of wanted to test out this new microphone that I got. And, these things are fun to make. And I love, doing these because everybody's different. Everybody's list might be different. So if you guys want to do a list, or leave it down in the comment section on what you guys think. So thanks for watching, everybody. Well, there you go. Are you guys shocked at my list? It's something different, and I kind of enjoyed it, so I'm probably going to do a couple more of these. I really like just getting everybody's opinion, though. I bet you guys are surprised that I didn't put NES at the top, even though I have a ton of games for it. But, Super Nintendo is hard to beat. It's by far one of the best consoles ever made in general. Not just by Nintendo, but ever. Thanks for watching. And if you guys have your favorite Nintendo consoles, leave them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, keep on reminiscing, baby.
There's Dad over there.
Ooh, I just love all the new things Kmart has here.
Oh, I can see that.
So that's the new Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
What about it?
They say it has 16-bit technology, whatever that means.
Oh, I see. What else do they say?
That it has 3D graphics and digital stereo sound, and that Super Mario World is included.
Okay, we'll get it for him. So, how long did he work on you?
About 2 weeks.
Hmm.